In today's episode, we speak with the world's coolest, newest AME about the FAA medical requirements to fly airplanes. Coming up. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Experimental Aircraft Channel. And there's a topic that I've been meaning to cover for quite some time, and that is the medical side of aviation. So Dylan Caldwell is here now, and he has the Aviators Clinic down in two locations, one in Naples and one in Pompano. He's also a partner now with Experimental Aircraft Channel, and I very much want to get him on and talk shop with him. So Dylan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So which office are you sitting in right now?
This is the Naples Airport. So
Naples
if it was a little bit busier, if it was during season, you'd be hearing all the jets outside warming up.
Because that's fine. Crazy. And that would be fine. Ambient noise of aviation happening is always okay on our channel. So let me just everybody introduce you, like what got Dylan into aviation and then kind of progressing into becoming an AME. So what first did get you involved, or like that first moment you saw an airplane fly over or whatever it was to get into aviation?
I think like lots of people, I've been in love with aviation for as long as you can remember. So as a kid, Legos, building planes, books, rockets, radio controlled airplanes. And then later on, I started flight lessons. My mom was a teacher at a community college, and they had an aviation program. And so the instructor there started me with giving me lessons in his Grumman TR2.
Okay, that's trainer. The TR2 is very similar to a Yankee, is it not?
Yes,
the same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's actually my first and only aircraft that I've owned was a AA1 Yankee. So
yes,
that's a lot of fun. You can crack the window about 10 inches or so.
Yes, yes. And glides like a brick.
A runway queen. I called it a runway queen. It just held onto that runway for a long time.
But a very fun plane to fly. Very crisp controls. It just was a great plane to fly. And awesome. Eventually, when I got my license, he gave me the keys to it, so I had free access to it. Just had to fill up the tank after I flew it. So it was a great way to get some hours in.
So that's how you got started. When did you, through your path of aviation, get into sailplanes and gliders?
So this was about 2005. I had actually saw an article in a local paper that had a picture of a sailplane, a Blanik L-13, flying over the orange groves that used to be around here in Collier County. And there's still some, but not as many. But I saw that and I thought, wow, that looked really cool. So I eventually took one out to Immokalee Field, started taking lessons, and then life happens. And 2 years later, I got my glider sailplane add-on rating. 6 months later, I bought my first sailplane, helped form a local soaring club, and that's it.
Oh, you're kind of a mover and shaker. When you have an idea, you just go full in. You start a club with it, huh?
Yeah. It was a lot easier though. I wasn't married, no kids at that time, so it's a lot easier to kind of go full into something like that. But it was great. We had it was very active for a while. We even had a 16-year-old get his private pilot glider's license, buy a sailplane, and all before he even had his driver's license. It was great.
That's awesome. And then was it through the club that you acquired a crop duster? And is it a Pawnee? Which one do you have?
So I have a Pawnee, yeah. So okay. I bought the plane because eventually I want to compete in sailplane aerobatics, and buying tows commercially can get kind of expensive. So the plane came on market. It was very well priced, and I just took the plunge and bought it. So it was also the tow plane for the club while I was up and working.
Awesome. So you're heavily involved in several aspects of aviation. Now, on the other side of things, you are by trade initially an ER doctor, correct?
Yes, I've been an ER physician for 24 years. 24. Trained in Detroit, and then got sick of the gun and knife club in Midwestern winters, moved down here in 2001.
The Gun and Knife Club.
Yes.
I imagine you've seen quite a few things in your history of working that field.
Yes. I have. I've had so much blood on me at times. I've had to throw away the insoles of my shoes.
Oh man. So then what made you decide to go from an ER doctor and go into an AME and aviation side of things? The blood.
After 24 years of being in the ER, I'm getting a little tired of it. And plus, it's a way to combine my love of medicine and of aviation and keep people flying, or get people back in the air who've had medical issues, and get them back to flying. And lots of times I found out with medicine is that people need someone who can sit down and explain things to them, get rid of translate all the medical jargon into common everyday English so they can understand what's going on and what needs to be done next. That's doctors do a horrible job of that in general. And I hope that I do a good job in just explaining things, saying, hey, this is what this means. This is what that doesn't mean. This is what we need to do in order to get back into the air.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you following your passion and connecting what you do medically into the aviation field, and that's why I brought you on here today to talk. Let's kind of start into the historical medicals, right, and then get into the modern medicals, right? So, what if you could explain? And I know some people already know this in aviation for some time, but this is for everybody, even newcomers. Like, what is the difference between a first, second, and third class medical?
So the big difference, at least for someone who's younger than 35, the only difference between a second, so below age 35, first and second class medicals in terms of the requirements exactly the same. And the big thing is that you have to have 20/20 vision. 20/20 vision, either corrected or uncorrected. And then with a third class medical, you need 20/40 vision, either corrected or uncorrected. That's for distance. Up close, the limit is 20/40 for all classes, whether it's corrected or uncorrected. When you get above 40, then the difference is first class medicals require an EKG once a year, and they're only good for 6 months, whereas the second class medicals are good for 1 year, whether you're 16 or 106. And then for third class medicals below age 40, they're good for 5 years, and above age 40, they're good for 2 years.
Okay. And where and when would you need a first, second, or third? And I'm thinking more so commercially, correct? So
if you're flying for a compensation hire, you need to have at least a second class medical. So CFI, crop duster, if you fly for one of those mosquito control, EMS, flying for the police department, anything where you can pay CFIs, where you're being paid to fly. And then you really need the first class is primarily for ATPs, airline transport pilots.
Okay. So so the first class is really held for.
So if you fly for American Airlines or FedEx,
gotcha,
or UPS,
and that's where basically every 6 months you have to have that done.
After the age 40, before age 40, it's once a year.
Okay, all right. Because I've flown behind a third class, pretty much all of my, I wouldn't call it career, but flying experience as a private pilot.
If you're just a private pilot, that's all you need.
Yeah. All right. All right, so that kind of outlines that. So what we have now as going forward from the first, second, and third class medical, something we've created the last few years, and that is basic med, which kind of started around the sport pilot movement and that kind of stuff. And that seems to be like the buzzword these days of people getting checked out, is getting a basic med. So what is that about? What are the requirements of that? We are partnering with great companies like Dynon Avionics at Dynon.com, Airtech Coatings at AirTechCoatings.com, Clemens Insurance at ClemensInsurance.net, The Aviators Clinic at AviatorsClinic.com, Diamond Doors at DiamondDoors.com, Flying Eyes at FlyingEyesOptics.com. Take a moment to go visit their websites at the links found below in the description of this video. And visit our website at experimentalaircraftchannel.com for events, Our video library arranged in easy-to-find playlists on specific topics, affiliate products, aviation merchandise, and so much more. And
a basic med exam is for private pilots, people who are not flying for a compensation hire. That you need to have a second class or a first class medical. So for private pilots, it's ideal. The limitations are mainly on the airplane. So you can't fly a plane that weighs more than 6,000 pounds. So 172s, 182s, beach Bonanzas, Cherokees, most general aviation airplanes are going to fit the bill, including light twins. You can't fly more than 18,000 feet. So, unless you're flying turbines, you're not flying above 18,000 feet unless you have like an SR-22T or something like that,
right.
Or a Vision jet. You can't fly more than 250 knots. The plane can be capable of flying 250 knots, but you're limited to 250 knots. But, how many 172s do that? Plus, you can't fly below 250 knots below 10,000 feet anyway. So, unless you're doing Reno air racing, it really doesn't apply. And then it can't have more than 6 seats. So it's you and 5 other people. But you can't fly day or night, IFR, VFR. You can fly now into the Bahamas. You can fly into Mexico under basic med. Initially, that wasn't possible, but you can. As of yet, you still can't fly into Canada under basic med.
So all those things you said you can?
You can fly to the Bahamas under basic med. You can
fly at night.
You can fly day or night. You can fly IFR or VFR under basic med.
And this is basic med private pilot, just for clarity, not a sport pilot.
Right. Sport pilot's different. Sport pilot, it's day only, 2 seats, can't fly more. The plane is 1320 on the weight.
Right. And now we're talking licenses versus medical, but I just was clarifying that for people.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So technically, you can fly, so long as you had the type certificate, you could fly that'd be on a third. You could fly a 747 under a third class medical.
Okay.
Right.
So basic med is quite broad, and that's why it's become so popular. Because, and what is it like? Let's use me as an example. I'm kind of a rusty pilot. Haven't rented a plane in a while, only because there isn't anything within an hour or two drive of my home base here. So I need to get back in there, get checked out. And first thing first is medical. But I got my third class, I think it was about 5 years ago. Is that okay?
Yes. So long as your last medical was not revoked, denied, or suspended, and it was after either 2006 or 2007, you're eligible for a basic med. The big thing is that it wasn't revoked, denied, or suspended, and that you haven't developed any new medical problems. There are 16 specific things listed in the basic med regulation. So that, say, if you had your last medical exam expired 5 years ago, but in the meantime you had a heart attack that needed angioplasty, in which case you'd have to go apply for a third class medical. It would be deferred. You'd have to get go through all the testing that the FAA requires. You'd get a special issuance. Once you get that special issuance, you could then go to basic med. But if you haven't had any of those 16 specific things and your last medical just timed out, expired on its own, you're good to go for basic med.
All right. So what will be the process for me? Do I simply go on to the FAA's website and fill out something and they mail me a basic med, or do I have to go to you or my doctor for a physical and then go do what would be the process for me?
So the process for regular first, second, third class medicals and basic med are different. So for a regular first, second, third class medical, you first have to go to the FAA website. It's medexpress.faa.gov. You have to either create an account or open your account, update any medical information. You submit that generates a 12-digit confirmation number. You then take that to your AME. He performs the exam, then uses that confirmation number to pull up your records. He then adds his information, and he's able then to print out your medical certificate. For basic med, it's not through the FAA because it's not done through the aeromedical branch. I think it's through flight standards. So the easiest place is go to just go Google basic med and AOPA. It'll take you to a link where they've got a free site with a video and delineates the steps you need to for basic med. It's really easy. First thing you do is you download the form. It's just a basic medical form, and ask you a bunch of medical questions. You take that to your doctor. You get the exam. He fills out his first part of that paperwork and gives that to you. You then need to go to take this aeromedical class online and answer, I think it's 20 questions. It takes no more than 45 minutes. It's very easy. You submit that. That then validates that basic med paperwork that you got from your doctor.
Is it open book test?
Yeah. It gives you videos and then it answers questions about it. And
you sit there and Google the question answer.
Right. Well, it you could just go back through the videos that just show it. So it's very easy. And it's a lot of the stuff that was covered when people got their private pilots, basic aeromedical stuff. That's the basic aeromedical physiology that's discussed when part of the pilot's handbook when everyone got their initial private pilot's license. It's really easy.
Okay, and what is the cost for either or, whether it had to come to you to get a third class medical, or if I went online and got this basic med? What are the costs today?
So at my office at either location, first, second, third class medicals are all $130. Basic med exams $130, and the EKG is just $60 extra. So there's no change in price. The advantage of basic med for someone who's over than 40 is that it's good for 4 years. You only have to see the doctor once every 4 years. You have to take the aeromedical class every 2 years to keep it validated, but you only have to see a doctor every 4 years. So you save yourself $130 every 2 years.
Gotcha. So for me, in my situation, going to get the basic med, I go online and complete all these tests, then I would just pay that fee through this online.
No, you pay the doctor when he does the exam.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just like with a regular, just like with any
regular office visit type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know, because I'll be doing that here shortly.
Okay.
So I have a couple of questions that are written down that I wanted to ask you above and beyond those things. Sure. And that is because I hear a lot of concerning things through, social and all that kind of stuff. Is what are the most common issues of somebody keeping them from getting a medical, whether it's an issue or condition?
I can't think if there's any common things. I mean, in terms of people who've getting their initial medical or who've had one and then lost it.
Well, kind of both. Like if you're coming to the table new, what are some of the things that would be like, no, I'm sorry, you need to take care of this first and then come back and see me? Or, and then as somebody who's had one, both, like someone who's new into this, like starting later in life, maybe that's got some issues and they can't get a third class or basic, and then somebody who's had it and then lost it due to an issue. How do they work back to getting it back? So
if someone, in terms of medical problems, people coming for the nurse medical, their initial medical, it can be any number of things, like diabetes. Diabetes needs a special issuance. If they had heart disease, it needs a special issuance. And then it's a long, very frustrating process for airmen to go through that, just because it takes so long. And it's not that the FAA is being malicious. It's just that they're understaffed and overworked, and it takes a long time, 6 months, sometimes longer, for special issuance to happen. In terms of people keeping their medical, again, it'd be developing these are primarily for older people, developing diabetes, having a heart attack, or having eye surgery. It all depends on the problem. And some things are easily taken care of and can be done with just filling out a piece of paperwork. Like if you had cataract surgery, it's relatively easy to return to flying, depending on the kind of lenses, versus something very severe. Like if you had a car accident, you had a head injury, you may be out of flying for 5 years. It all depends on the problem and the FAA's particular view of that problem.
Understand.
The number one thing that pilots need to understand is that they have to be very patient, because there's no way to speed things up. It just takes a long time to get things through the FAA.
Understand. That's the same thing when we finish building an airplane. I think sometimes you have to wait on getting things certified,
right,
when you're finished building an airplane. Yeah. Well, as far as somebody like with a disability and they come to you, how do you have a certain standards that you have to go? Somebody has like a missing leg, or like there's a woman that's kind of gotten popular or known, Jennifer Cox, who doesn't have any arms, but yet she's flying
I think it depends on the disability and how much it hampers them or not. It depends on the disability and how much it hampers them or not. I think, like in her case, I'm presuming I don't know anything about this. She probably had
She's flying an
went
air
on a
coupe, which is a little bit different animal
right,
together,
right.
but you know.
But she probably had a flight with someone from a local FISDO that and she earned a SOTA, a statement of demonstrated ability. So she flew with an examiner from the FAA, and she proved to him that she was safe to fly and that she could fully handle the controls without any problems. And so she's probably got a, again, this is presumption, probably got a statement, a little piece of paper about the size of a medical certificate that lists what her deficit is, and then and this allows her to continue flying, really, so long as there's been no change for the rest of your life with that particular deficit. I've had other people who've had a traumatic injury to their hand, even had to have a thumb transplanted to replace a big toe transplanted to replace the thumb they lost, and never even had to get a SOTA or do anything. He's flying for major airlines now. Never had any problems.
Wow, that would bring a new definition to fat fingered when you're texting, I guess,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Well, that's awesome that he was able to do that.
Yes. And he's an avid tennis player too.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, kind of in closing, what is the process? Does somebody get in touch with you and schedule with you, and what does that look like?
Oh, it's very easy. All appointments are scheduled online. You just go to the website, which is aviatorsclinic.com. There's a button for each location that you just click book now, and it takes you to the scheduling page. You select the type of physical you want, and then the day and the time, and you hit submit. You get a confirmation email and or text. And this way, you don't have to wait for a call back from the office, and you can make as many scheduling changes as you need to just from the convenience of your phone. It's super easy.
And you just kind of bounce back between each office location depending on who's scheduling where.
Yep.
I assume.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions for Dylan here, obviously send some comments below here. Email him directly, and we'll put that up here on the screen of his email. And yeah, we want to hear what kind of questions you have. If we haven't covered them today, I'd love to have Dylan back on again. We can talk some more if you've got specific questions. We might even be able to do a live thing here in the future, like on Facebook or something like that. But I want to get this kind of education out to everybody to just be in the know of what is capable, and I guess also not to worry about so much of the stuff, because I mean, basic med, again, if you're not flying commercially, covers such a broad number of things that it sounds
private
like
pilots who are, particularly if they're older than 40, they should just be flying basic med.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like really basic. So,
yes.
So just wash those worries away, and let's get to flying. Let's get you flying.
Get them back. Keep them flying.
Exactly. All right, Dylan. Well, thanks for coming on today, and we'll follow up again soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.